Welcome to Simplify to Scale, a show dedicated to helping you scale a high impact and high profit business that you love without all of the complexity and chaos that can keep you trapped in the day to day. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and with decades of scaling experience, I know what actually works and what's just hype. So if you are done with all of the one-size-fits-all scaling advice and all of the overnight success promises, and instead you want proven practical strategies that will help you simplify operations, elevate your leadership, amplify profits, and scale sustainably, let's dive in and get started. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Simplify to Scale show. Today, we're going to be talking about the energetics of sustainable scaling, because as much as we can focus on the systems and the team and the structure and so many of the things that you hear me talk about week over week, there is also a becoming that needs to happen where you, as the leader of your business, ultimately needs to shift. You need to grow personally. You need to grow as a leader. You need to grow yourself. You need to be really aware of how you're showing up, of what feels in alignment for you. There's so many things that are more of a personal growth journey as we are looking at growing our businesses. And when we step into a season of scale, when we've gotten our business to seven figures, we see it on the horizon. Maybe we're nearing eight figures, right? Anytime you get your business to the point where you are relying on things beyond yourself. So you do have systems that are supporting you. You have people who are supporting you. Anytime you reach that point, frequently you are going to hit several different ceilings and several different roadblocks. And many of them are structural, but some of them are internal. And your business can only grow, expand, and scale beyond the level that you're capable of holding. And so that's a bit of what I'm going to be breaking down in today's episode. And the other side of this that I'm going to be talking about is there's a lot of misleading information anytime someone talks about things a little bit more on, I'll call it the spiritual side, meaning more of the woo, more of the energetics, more of what I'm talking about in this episode, like who you need to become as a person, alignment, things along those lines. There's a lot of misleading information that's out there. And sometimes I think it's almost more damaging when someone tries to choose and go for an aligned business when they don't fully understand what that means. Now, I'm going to take this back to one of the concepts that I talk about a lot on the podcast, and that is ultimately you want to be living your rich, fulfilled life. And that applies to both your life outside your business as well as the life that you live within your business, which can dominate a lot of our time. Right? There's the work that you choose to do, the people you choose to surround yourself with, whether it's on your own team or the clients that you're partnering with, the mentors that you're choosing to work with, the agencies you're choosing to work with. So much of our time is spent in our business or thinking about our business. So when we think about a rich, fulfilled life, I think we really do need to look at all facets of what we do, because if you think of a pie, right, and you think of your time, I call it the time pie, a very large part of your time pie is spent either in your business, on your business, or thinking about your business. And so the two really do need to integrate. And to me, I think one of the most important things that you can do when you want an aligned business is get really clear on what a rich, fulfilled life looks like for you. What do rich and fulfilling relationships look like? What does rich and fulfilling work look like? What do rich and fulfilling experiences look like for you? Right? What are those things that ultimately fuel you, have you living at your happiest, at your best, feeling most fulfilled in a really genuine way, not in a way where that word kind of gets tossed around a lot. Like you just deeply feel a sense of fulfillment, right? What are those things for you? And does your business support that? Does your role in your business and where you spend your time in your business support that? Does the way you sell and the way you lead your business support that? And so I think one of the very first things that you need to do that's so valuable to do is get really clear on what your rich, fulfilled life looks like. And I have several episodes that break this down in great detail. It's something I do with all my clients. This is where we start in any container of work that we do. whether we're working together privately or whether they're joining me inside Simplify to Scale, right? Any way that we work together, we always start with Rich Fulfilled Life. Because even me as an advisor and a mentor and a coach and a consultant and all of the different hats that I can sometimes wear when I'm working with somebody, right? At the end of the day, I am not doing you or a business a service if I am giving you general cookie cutter advice and feedback. It has to be truly grounded in what rich, fulfilled looks like for you. It has to be truly grounded in your vision, which comes from that definition of your rich, fulfilled life. So that is why I always start there, as I said, in any container, because I always want to make sure the feedback I'm giving, the direction I'm giving is in alignment. And there are 1,000 different ways you can scale your business. The key is which is the way that best fits you. And so that's how I tend to approach things. That's what I encourage you to look for in anybody who you choose to work with. But that being said, once you have that definition, once you're clear on what rich and fulfilling look like for you, for your business, for your life, and you have a vision of what you want it to look like, well, then from there comes the decisioning around what are the right strategies you're going to be following? What is the right structure that you need? And here is where a lot of advice can be a little misleading. And so people say all the time, right? You need to be in alignment. You need to only basically do things that feel good to you. And here's where that advice can steer you, unfortunately, into a lot of overwork, a lot of overwhelm, and ironically, a lot of misalignment. Is there is what you need as the person who envisioned this business, started this business, is leading this business. You as the human, but then there's what your business needs. And your business is this other kind of living, breathing entity that, in theory, someone else could lead. You could completely exit the business and someone else could lead it depending on the way you structured it. That's always ultimately the goal, even if you choose not to do that, to have a business that you don't need to be a part of every single day, right? And so I always think of it as a Venn diagram where on one side is you and on the other side is the business. And if you have a founder led business, which most of us do, there is really significant overlap between the business and yourself. But it's not 100% overlap. They are two completely separate things that just so happen to come together because you started this business. It came from your ultimate vision, your dream, your passion. And so it reflects a lot of you. But what we hear really often is you should only do the things that you feel inspired to do. You should only do the things that you feel called to do or aligned to do. And the unfortunate reality is the things you want to do are probably not the things that your business needs in order to be successful. For example, so many of my clients really dislike the marketing side of their business. They want to just show up and do what they're passionate about. They want clients to magically appear for them, and they want to just be able to spend their time in their zone of genius all day, every day. They don't want to do operational things. Most of them don't want to do marketing things. They just want to do their craft, their passion, their thing that they love to help their clients with. And wouldn't we all love that? But if you think about it, if that's the only thing that you do, then you typically don't have any clients to do that with because you need a way to bring clients into your business. And then you operationally need to be able to run the business and deliver on what you sold in a way that creates a really incredible client experience. And so often where I see people misled and where I see things go wrong is people saying, oh, that doesn't feel aligned for me personally, so I'm not going to do it. When the reality is your business needs certain things in order to be successful. And you have to recognize and acknowledge that. And then the decision point becomes okay, if I know that realistically, I have to market my business, I have to let people know about what I do in some way, shape, or form in order to have clients who are paying me money so that I have a successful business, then the question becomes, how do I do that in a way that feels more aligned? Not, I don't do it. Social media is a great example of this. So many of my clients have asked me, "Do I need to be on social media? I hate social media. I don't wanna be on social media. It's a waste of my time. I don't wanna do it." The list goes on and on and on and on. And with a lot of the algorithm changes and things like that, when they already were frustrated and didn't wanna do it, and then what they finally got working stops working, it kinda bubbles back up again, and I get the phone call again saying, "Do I really have to do social media? I don't wanna do social media. I hate social media." And it's this repeat pattern. And the thing I always say back to them is, "No, you don't have to do social media at all, but it depends on your business model. And if you're not doing social media, here's some other things that you need to be considering because you need a way to be attracting people into your business. You need a way to be staying top of mind, and you need a way to build credibility when someone does hear about you and goes and looks you up online." And so you have to make choices that feel aligned for you personally, yes, but ultimately you have to give your business what it needs to be successful. And sometimes what that looks like is you say, "You know what? My business needs this thing. It's not my passion. It's not my zone of genius. It's not fueling at all to me. If anything, it drains the ever loving life out of me. So I recognize my business needs it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hire someone to do that. I'm gonna partner with this agency to do that. I'm gonna come up with this way to do that where it is either working for me, I enjoy it because I do it in this unique way, or I find somebody else who can do it, and all I do is give them the direction and the vision around things, and I let them do what they do really well. And so your business needs what your business needs. Your kind of key piece of things when you wanna keep things in alignment is to make sure that your time within the business is being focused on the places that are the most fueling for you, that are more of your genius area, and that are the things that you uniquely can do. Where someone else bring other people in to do the rest of it. Bring other people in to do the things that you don't want to do, but don't not do the things because it's not something that you want to do. I see so many people do this like, "You know what? I want a lean team. I'm going to let everybody go and I'm just gonna stop doing all of the things that actually brought me business for all of these years." And it's people get mixed messages, and I think when you are in, again, that more like spiritual, energetic space, as you hear people talk, it's always, "You only do things that are aligned, and if you don't wanna do this, then don't do it." And yes, that's true from a you perspective, but that's not always true from your business perspective. And I think the sooner you can recognize what your business truly needs to achieve whatever that next level of success and scale is, the sooner you can make decisions about, am I going to do this for a short period of time because I recognize I'm going to get the return. And as soon as I get this return, I can bring in somebody to take it over. Are you going to say, "You know what? Boundary, value, not crossing this one, not doing it no matter what." Like it's so not in alignment that it's not something I would do at all. Cool, great. And what are you going to do instead that's going to fill that gap to produce the same result? Operations is a good example of this. So many founders, because they tend to be more on the visionary side, they tend to be more on the creative side. Operations, not something that interests them, not something they often really deeply understand, kinda don't fully see the value in it until things are broken, and so, as a result, they'll push it off and push it off and push it off and push it off, not necessarily recognizing that if they had just hired someone to do those things, they could have actually freed themselves up in ways to do the things that they love more, and they could have kept more of the clients that they sold. They could have had more referrals coming into the business. They could have saved actually a lot of money that was lost due to inefficiencies and multiple tools and things that were unnecessary. And so it's important to recognize what the business itself needs in this season and in the next season based on what your vision and goals are. I think that's really, really important. That's one circle of the Venn diagram. Then the other circle of the Venn diagram is what you need personally in this particular season of business and life, where you want to be spending your time, what you want your role to look like. And you need to figure out where the overlap is in what areas there are no overlap, and where there's no overlap, that is where you need to find the right support structure and make the right decisions to be able to keep yourself in the things that do fulfill you, the things that do feel rich and fulfilling. It's truly the only way to get yourself out of the day-to-day operations and to elevate yourself to the areas where you can make the biggest impact in your industry, in your world, or even just in your own personal life and community, whatever that looks like for you. So that's one piece of this. And then the other piece of this is really when I think about the energetics of sustainable scale is who do you need to become as that next level leader of the business? So now you've gone through your rich, fulfilled life. You're clear on your circle, what's important for you specifically right now. You're clear on what the business needs right now. That means you probably have some people that are currently working for you or that you're going to be hiring and that you're going to need to be leading. There's decisions that you need to be making, and you want those decisions to be ones that are aligned with your vision and your values and where you want to ultimately take things and take yourself long term. And so, how do you step into the type of person who is able to make the right decisions for that to be true? So often we look at what we need to do, but equally as important is who we need to be, who we need to become. And if you are trying to break into seven figures and you're currently at multi six and you're still making decisions and you're still looking at the world and at business through the lens of a multi six figure business owner, it's going to be really hard to make the right decisions that ultimately get you to seven figures because you're still being a multi six figure business owner in the way that you're showing up, the way you're talking to people, the way you're leading your team, the way you're ultimately deciding what gets done day to day, the way you set goals, the way you set vision. It's one thing to say, I want a seven figure business, but it's another thing to deeply understand and embody leading a seven figure business before you're actually doing it. Now, if you're at seven figures, multi seven figures, and you're looking to scale your business to eight, I know this is one of my goals and what my team and I are working towards, right? It's my mentors. I have mentors who are eight and nine figure business owners. I'm working with people who are at that next level. And I'm not actually the really interesting thing, this is fascinating. The conversations that I have with them almost never are the conversations about what do I need to do? Almost never. They're truly I'm asking them questions and I'm trying to figure out how they think about things. How do they break down problems? Where do they spend their time? How do they build up their team around them? I'm looking at the patterns and how they operate different from how I operate, how they think different from how I think, how they be different than who I'm being, right? If I want to go from multi seven figures to eight figures, how do I be an eight figure business owner before my bank account shows that I'm an eight figure business owner? So, no matter where you're at today, no matter what your current baseline is as of this moment, to where you want to be next. How can you embody that? And yes, there are absolutely the right structural changes that you need to make. There's the right team and the right systems and the right decisions. I can help you with any of that. Come join me in Simplify to Scale if you're a founder. Come join me in Strategic Ops Institute and get certified and get mentored by me and my team if you partner with founders, right? This is what we do all the time. But a lot of what I do with people that they don't realize they're getting when they sign on to work with me is I teach them how to think and I teach them how to be the person that they need to be based on their vision and goals beyond just what systems and what structure and what team and the SPSTI, the strategy planning systems team and insight, right? All of those things that we do very strategically in the business and very tactically in the business, those all need to be in place. But you will still hit a ceiling and you will not break through if you do not continue to uplevel yourself and step into the next level of visionary leadership. And sometimes that means working through your shadows. It means working through those sides of yourself that maybe limit what you can see as possible for yourself or the business, or that limit how much you're willing to release to other people to lead instead of carrying it all yourself. Where on one hand, you might say you wish you could get out of the day to day, but you don't actually release control of things enough to let other people do it. And it's easy to say, well, if I had better people, or there's a million different reasons that we come up with that sound like very good reasons, but that oftentimes if we do that deep inner work, that shadow work, we realize Maybe that's just a personal growth area for me. Maybe I naturally don't trust. Maybe I look at one thing that somebody does wrong and all of a sudden assume they're going to do everything wrong. Right. And so it's that sort of questioning and that inner work where we have to get really clear and start to recognize what are our own limiting beliefs? What are our own blind spots? Where do we put ourselves directly in the path to block what we really want? Because we all do it. No matter how much work we've done, we all do it at different levels. And you work through things at the level that you're at, and you break through the next level, and then a whole extra level of things comes up. It's the gift that just keeps on giving, right? There's no time in our lives where we don't have inner things to work on. Just like there's no time in our business that we don't need to continuously keep tweaking the SPSTI, the strategy planning systems team and insight. People wish they could check a box and say, this is done. It's never done. You might be done today, but the next change, the next level of growth, the next inner shift all of a sudden requires another level of work and another level of adaptation and growth. And so, what I want to encourage you this year as you're looking at your scale goals, as you're looking at what you either want in your personal life or what you want for your business. Remember that rich, fulfilled life is holistic. When you have a founder led business, how you do one thing is kind of how you do everything because it tends to be very intertwined. We don't typically have the type of structure where we work between specific hours and we completely turn our brain off and shut everything off about business outside of those set hours. They do intertwine in so many ways. And so get clear on what you want for the business, get clear on what you want for yourself, get clear on where you need to have the right structure and the right support so that you can stay most aligned in your role with the things that feel right for you, but you're still doing for the business what's right for the business for its next level of growth and scale. And then really look at, learn, embody. Who do you need to become at that next level that you're envisioning? And how can you start to make decisions from that place? How can you start to shift how you show up, how you grow? And how do you keep working through your own inner blocks and your own inner limiting beliefs that are getting in the way of where you want to go next? Now, something that's really interesting that I'm excited about that I want to share with you is you probably know if you've listened to the podcast for a while that Simplify to Scale has been my core signature program for years and years and years now, since I think 2019 might have been when I launched that. So it's been quite a long time. And it's evolved, it's gone through many iterations over the years, but the core premise of what we do is always the same. It is always focused on simplifying how you scale. It's focused on reducing dependency on you. It's focused on aligning you with your rich, fulfilled life. And it's ultimately focused on getting you out of the day to day operations of the business so you can do those things that do fuel you and that do feel rich and fulfilling for you. That has been the consistent truth throughout all of the iterations and all of the different cohorts and all of the launches that I've done of that program. And one of the things that I'm doing this year in the next iteration of the program is I'm adding in the Visionary Collective. Now, some of you might have been a part of one of the Visionary Collectives I did previously, and I'm really going all in on that and expanding that this year. Because what I think we need most in order to do that growth, in order to step into the next version of ourselves, is we need to surround ourselves with people who are going through that same journey or that are at that next level from where we want to be. And I don't call it a mastermind because I think most people misuse the word mastermind. But if you think about the way a lot of people use the word mastermind, it's kind of what it is. It's a circle of your peers plus me and experts that I'm bringing in. We have think tank style discussions a couple times a month where we're really digging into some of these core things that you're experiencing in the business. Now, in the core program itself, you get every single thing that you need to actually shift your offer, shift your operating model, shift your team. You get everything you need to put that system and structure in place to support you. That is kind of a given and you get that. These calls are much more about who are you becoming? These calls are much more about working through the issues and the challenges that you're facing as you're putting those things in place. Because what most people don't bank on when they're hiring team members, they think they just need to tactically go out, find this person, bring them in, train them, and that's going to be that. But if you have a team, right? People quit, people don't perform, people miss deadlines, people have life emergencies that happen, and all of a sudden, an A player starts performing like a C player. People need to be either let go or have some really hard conversations with, right? And so there's all of these different things that you're experiencing. And it's more about who you are as a leader and how you show up and how you handle them and how you grow in a way where you're not super reactive, but where you can calmly go in and have those hard conversations and you can diffuse the difficult situations and you could help your team think differently and think better and start to think more like you so they don't have to keep coming to you with all of the questions and expect you to solve everything. And so there's so much of that growth that we need to do. And again, you may have mastered it at the level that you're at, which is fantastic. But that next level requires a new level of thinking and a new level of problem solving and a new level of being that we just need to experientially do. And so that's why I'm really, really laser focusing in on the Visionary Collective piece of Simplify to Scale. I've actually shortened Simplify to Scale itself down to 90 days from a go in and install what you need. And then I've added the 9 months on top of it of Visionary Collective in these really robust, intimate discussions with your peers, with myself, with the experts that I bring in, so you could step into that next level of being. And it's something I'm just so incredibly excited for. It's something I encourage you to come check out. It's leanscaling.com/scale, and you could find all the details about it. We're kicking that off towards the end of Q1. And if you noticed that I said leanscaling.com instead of leanoutmethod.com, I did rebrand the business. I know I hinted at it a little bit. I never did a big reveal or a big overview on the podcast. I'll do that at some point. But Lean Scaling System has been the core system that we have used in Lean Out Method, again, for well over a decade, if not longer. But Lean Scaling System has been the system that my entire business has been built on. It's what I've been doing with businesses for decades. It's what I certify people in Strategic Ops Institute. And so it felt like time to rebrand Lean Out Method to Lean Scaling Co. And so we do have a new website. Lean Out Method will still redirect and take you there. But everything that you're going to find now is on leanscaling.com. And so much of what I'm doing in this season of business, in this next evolution of who I'm becoming and of who the business is becoming, is really, really helping people become the type of founder who can lead the type of business that they want and who can experience freedom on a level that goes beyond vision boards in something where you actually feel fulfilled in what you do day to day. Yes, you're able to scale your business. You have everything in place that you need to scale your business, to do it more simply, to do it more sustainably. But ultimately, you love what you do. You're making the kind of impact that you want to actually make on the world. You're making the kind of impact you want to make on yourself. You feel rich and fulfilled. And that to me is what it's all about. The challenge is finding the path to be able to do that where your business is as successful as possible and where you're not sacrificing what you want and who you are and doing things that feel out of alignment at the same time. And so that is so much of my personal mission. That is how I have taken my own programs and my own work to the next level to really, really laser focus in on and go much deeper in because it's what I think that we all need. And after so many of the market shifts and so many of the changes that we've all experienced, so much of the disruption, I think it's what we need more than anything else. So I invite you to check out the links in the show notes explore that if you're interested in joining me. We're going to kick things off with a 30-day sprint where we're going to put together your founder extraction roadmap and actually get clear on what it looks like from a systems and structure perspective. And then I'm opening the invitation to join me inside Simplify to Scale and step into that container with the Visionary Collective. And I'd absolutely love to partner with you if this feels like it's aligned with your next season of growth personally and in your business. I hope you got a lot of value out of this episode. I will see you again next week. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Simplify to Scale. If you'd like to take things further, I invite you to join me for my Scale Smarter, Not Harder interactive workshop. Head to strategicopsinstitute.com/scale smarter to get registered. Not only will we dive into what might be keeping you trapped in the day-to-day, but you'll have the opportunity to ask me your questions live. If you got value out of today's episode, I'd love if you'd take a moment and rate and review the show so more businesses can learn to scale more simply and sustainably. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and I'll see you again next week.